So the first thing that comes to mind here is you see a red Mustang. Everybody knows that that's going to draw some attention from a police officer. And the vehicle is stopped in the left turn lane. Blinker is on behind the line. Nothing noteworthy here. I think everyone has been in that position. Light turns green. He accelerates at a reasonable rate of speed, nothing aggressive, doesn't step on the gas, obviously knows the police officer is right behind him at that point. We've all been there. At that point, you can't see it in the video, but he puts on turret lights. That's how he knows to pull over. And at that point, he is seized. That's a legal term. You're seized under the law. He now beckons for the man to come out of his vehicle, relatively unusual.
Yeah, why wouldn't the police officer go to him first?
Yeah, so the big case, and we'll link to the case, is a United States Supreme Court case that says you have to have, when you stop somebody's travel, it's a major deal to stop somebody from going about their day. And the police officers, let's just pause that right there for a second.
Let me see your ID.
The police officers have the right to pull someone over if they have probable cause to believe a crime has been committed or a traffic violation has been committed.
Do that, and they have to tell you what that is, right?
I don't think they have to tell you. I don't think they have to tell you. I think it would be the policy of nearly every police department in the United States to say.
Be forthcoming a little bit, yeah.
Right, and sometimes the police officer will say, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And that's always a weird thing.
Like, what do you say?
Right,
because you don't want to incriminate yourself
and you don't have to incriminate yourself. And I think some police officers would say, "Hey, I had you going a little bit fast. Mm-hmm. Do you agree or disagree?" And tell you, "Look, I know I'm operating the radar. I saw you talking on your cell phone," whatever this traffic violation may be. The frustrating thing, I think, with the police officer is he's immediately trying to exercise some kind of dominance.
Like authority.
Right. He's beckoning the man with hand gestures. And what the law says is when you put those turret lights on, you're exercising control over another human being. That's a very strict legal standard that's been upheld many times by all courts, including the United States Supreme Court, the highest court in the whole United States. And when you have a traffic violation, you can pull the person over and you can do the things that are associated with the type of traffic violation that's there. And in this case, not to skip to the punchline, but it talks about not using a turn signal. And in fact, you can see right on the video, the man uses turn signal.
Right.
So let's roll it a little further here. So the next interesting thing, they're now asking for ID from the passenger. There's no reasonable basis to believe that this person has done anything wrong. It's a traffic violation. We'll just pause it there.
He immediately just says, "Do you have a gun in the car?"
Right. He starts questioning. So this is a change of the scope of the investigation. They're alleging a traffic violation. They're now questioning about illegal guns. They have asked the woman to put her hands on the dashboard, not consistent with a traffic violation.
Yeah, right. I've been pulled over and they've never asked me if I had a gun in the car.
They probably didn't tell you to put your hands on the dashboard either. Really alleging, some sort of misconduct, it seems like.
Okay. Where's it at? 507 in the back seat? Okay. What is it?
It's a Taurus.
Huh?
It's a Taurus. Okay. Do you have any on you? No. You might there. Go tell you what. Set the phone down right here. Put your hands on the bumper just real quick. Real quick.
I think it is a fair question for the police officers to ask if he has a weapon. That's officer safety. If you're having an interaction roadside, I think they can ask if you have any weapons.
Unbuckle, step out for me.
The question then is, if they know there's a weapon in the vehicle, asking someone to step out of a vehicle is kind of raising the type of interaction roadside.
Yeah, but do you think it's fair because there is a weapon in the car and they don't know what this passenger may or may not do?
Correct. I think that most police officers would take that step at that point. There's a weapon in the car. You take the person away from the weapon. That's just basic
keeping everyone safe.
Safety precaution. Yep.
You have the right to an attorney. You can't afford one. One will represent you for any question if you wish. You decide at any time to exercise these rights, not answer your question, make a mistake, you understand your rights. Traffic stops are legal detainment. The reason I did that is I got a couple questions that may or may not pertain your guilt or innocence, right? So I always advise before I ask those types of questions. There goes to the...
Advise what?
He just read him his Miranda rights.
Oh.
He skipped the last question that they would typically read, which is, with those rights in mind, do you wish to continue to talk to me now? So he read him his rights, but then the last, it's not technically a Miranda question, but he never said, he just starts talking to him. And he interestingly says a traffic stop is a legal stop. If it's really a legal stop, if he made a legal stop, you don't have to tell the guy, hey, it's a legal stop.
Right.
It's like, I'm very concerned about you. But anyway.
the Fifth Amendment, right? So anytime you're not comfortable with one of my questions, you can say pass. How long you been in the state of Louisiana?
24 off and on. Because I'm originally from Roswell, but I'm trying to...
Roswell, or the...
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So that was an interesting police tactic. He says, I'm originally from Roswell, and the police officer says, oh, where the spaceships are. That's a subtle move, but it's a good, common move by police officers. He's trying to establish a little bit of rapport. You can just hear the tone of the voice and reading the Miranda being pretty aggressive, but then taking a step back and saying, oh, yeah, oh, that's where you're from. Oh, yeah. Trying to make him now feel comfortable to answer his questions.
Home service. I've been trying to buy a home, but...
You ever been arrested for anything? Ever? Do you mind emptying out your pockets for me on the hood of my car? That's the question. Nothing else? You mind if I check? Hey, you grab my bar real quick? You mind if I check? Do you have something on you you're not supposed to have?
I don't have anything on me.
He's now changing. He says, I'm going to ask you some questions, and he's now asking him for consent to search his person.
Yeah, it's not really about the, like, what just occurred. He's fishing, it almost seems like.
He's absolutely fishing. There's no reasonable view of what has occurred to this point to believe that he has anything illegal on his person.
Again, if you're not comfortable with any of my questions, you can say pass. Okay, is that fair? All right, cool. Anything in the vehicle that you should do? You ever been arrested for anything? Never?
Everything right here.
I got you. Any marijuana?
This is a full-on criminal interrogation, supposedly related to a traffic stop. This is preposterous, in my view.
Heroin? Fentanyl? Prescription pills? Not
Is he allowed to ask that?
The law is in a traffic stop scenario, your questions are supposed to be related to the traffic stop. You give the citation for the traffic violation, and then you move along.
Like, if he looked like he was under the influence of those drugs, then he could ask that.
Correct. Or if you saw a white powdery substance on the dashboard or in the center console, you might have some sort of a drug investigation.
Yeah.
There's some hesitancy there. If there was, what do you think it would be?
This is now a separate interrogation of a person who's not even driving the vehicle.
I find it interesting, his questions are really weird. He's like, if the sky was not blue, what color would it be? Like, why?
Right. He says, it looks like you hesitated before you answered that question. And she's like, I didn't hesitate. I think that's what she said. I didn't hesitate. Well, if you did hesitate, why would you have hesitated?
Right. What?
And you're on the side of the road. The police officer has the lights on, a gun, and in that feeling of, is it really? You said I didn't do it. Now you're saying, if I did do it, why would I have done it?
Yes.
It's a very intimidating position.
How long for Easter? Like for the holiday?
Yeah, just for holiday.
Smoke weed?
Company. Is it still possible if I could just grab my phone?
We're going to wait just a minute. Okay. And look, I promise you, when you see it recording right now.
We just have
Why would you had experiences with the police before?
She asked for her phone. He says no. She asked to move. He says no. I mean,
I just find this incredibly extra for a routine traffic stop.
probably a reason this one's a lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
This is the thing that police officers get in trouble for, and people should be aware of if they get pulled over.
Down in your pockets? Just wait right here for a second. You know, a traffic stop is illegal detainment, right? detained on a traffic stop.
Yeah.
He says a traffic stop's illegal detainment. That's absolutely true, but it is limited in scope. That's what the police officers don't understand. A traffic stop is limited to the purpose of the traffic stop. It's not a free rein to interrogate somebody for an unlimited amount of time. The traffic stop is for the purpose of the traffic stop, not to search their pockets, not to ask them every question they've done, not to ask them where they live, all the things that he's doing.
Yeah, just like, you seem like a constitutionalist to me. Oh, yeah?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh,
What?
Says you seem like a constitutionalist. It's a derogatory thing.
Like you shouldn't know your rights?
Right, and you should, look, we're not going to worry about all those rights. Like, don't know your rights.
I'm a lot of constitutionalist. Switch real quick.
So, can you be honest with me? Why am I being stopped?
Is it failure signal? That's straight honest answer. You failed the signal, so we stopped you. And we're just talking to people after we stop you.
Wait, that's 501.
That's all it is. Hey, here's your phone. Don't touch it yet.
Don't touch it yet?
So he's withholding his phone. He puts it right in front of him. Another power and intimidation move. The other thing, you have the dog barking in the background. So you're stopped on a street with two police officers, and then the dog barking and the lights flashing. That would be viewed by a court as a certain type of seizure, and the dog barking can be a factor that can be considered. Also, whether it's daylight or nighttime. If this interaction was occurring at 2 o'clock in the morning on a desolated road in the middle of nowhere, it might be viewed a little different by a judge than the one thing. It's broad daylight. It's in a kind of a well-populated area. There's cars driving by. It's not quite as intimidating in that regard as maybe being alone. And the reason courts will look at that is because any act, and you can see it in this video, it has to be voluntary. It has to be truly voluntary. Are the acts taken by these folks truly voluntary, or are they submitting to the authority of the police? That's going to be what judges and lawyers are going to look at. And from minute one of this video, the police officers are exercising their authority. That's the general tone that I'm seeing as an attorney here so far.
So is it fair to say that the specific words used by a police officer are vital for your case, essentially?
Yeah, and it's also the totality of everything. It's what is said, how it's said, where it's said, when it's said, the tone, the tenor, and the whole interaction taken as a whole.
Just hang tight. Right now you're legally detained, so we're not doing anything extra.
The more times they say it's legally detained, the more times I think it's not legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish we had things straight. Did you call him up yet? Huh? Did you call that up yet? I would say that there's more to this than meets the eye. I would check that, and I would check this.
We're not doing background checks on people who may have had a turn signal violation.
That's protocol, right? For anyone, they run the license.
Yeah, but not a background check.
I really didn't see a whole lot of indicators of him not being completely truthful.
Guess they
Like,
wanted him to
oh
be a
damn,
bad guy.
he's not a criminal.
Right.
Like, what?
He's not a bad guy. Maybe he's telling us the truth. That's
Yeah.
too bad.
Yes, your license is right there.
The thing that we haven't got to is it's a doctrine. It's called the fruit of the poisonous tree. What the lawyers are going to look at is everything that happens after that original stop. The stop is not good. It's what we would call a bad stop, and the evidence will be suppressed afterwards. So the police officer says he pulls him over because there's no turn signal. There is a turn signal. Everything that happens after that is going to be suppressed, means it can't be used in a court of law. A more common scenario than this kind of weird street side interaction is you have this like red sports car. So cop wants to pull him over, makes up some thing, pulls him over, at which time they find drugs, an illegal gun.
Like that's what they
Something.
think they're going to find.
Well-
or they want to find.
Or they don't, or they make a mistake and have a bad traffic stop and then find some sort of illegal contraband, whatever that might be. And the most common are drugs and guns. It could be forged checks. It could be anything that's illegal.
Right.
that evidence gets suppressed. And this is why the police have to be careful, because you find the drugs, you find the gun, you find the contraband, and then it all gets thrown out because the traffic stop is bad. In this case, there is no stuff, but that's the doctrine that we're always talking about.
Right.
That's what we're dealing with in our
Right.
cases a lot.
I mean, maybe they did follow procedure, but it just seemed like there was a lot of things that could have been
It's definitely
brought to
challenging for
light.
us. So I think this is state of
Louisiana.
Louisiana. So we're not lawyers in the state of Louisiana. I don't know their laws, but the United States Supreme Court covers all law.
Right.
And I'm very familiar with the standard for a traffic stop and reasonable suspicion, fruit of the poisonous tree. Those apply everywhere. Now, police procedure may be different in Louisiana than we're in the state of New York. There's going to be subtle differences. There's going to be difference in general orders and police procedure, police protocol. It's always a little challenging, but the big laws are the big laws.